Good evening, I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj and we'll be presenting you Express 100. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi led the inaugural leaders session of the second Voice of Global South Summit in New Delhi. Prime Minister Modi inaugurated Dakshin Global South Centre of Excellence. This development and knowledge sharing initiative centre will undertake research on developmental challenges being faced by Global South. PM Modi highlighted India's efforts in galvanizing concrete G20 actions for Global South during G20 India Summit. PM called for 5 C's: consultation, cooperation, communication, creativity and capacity building with Global South to realize the vision of one Earth, one family, one future. PM Modi also stressed on responsible use of artificial intelligence, and PM Modi announced that India will organize the Artificial Global Partnership Summit. Prime Minister also touched up on Israel-Hamas conflict, saying India has exercised restraint so far and also given emphasis on dialogue and diplomacy. Foreign Minister session of the second Voice of Global South Summit concluded. It was chaired by India's Foreign Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar. Important discussions were held on furthering South cooperation and consolidating the gains from G20 India for the Global South. India's Environment Minister Bhupendra Yadav chaired the Environment Ministers session in New Delhi. Focus was on adapting sustainable practices and need of climate finance and technology transfer, with special emphasis on Global South. Education Ministers session of the second Voice of Global South Summit concluded under the theme Making Human Resources Future Ready. The session was chaired by Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan, with focus on developing human capital through education and skill development. In Finance Ministers session, ministers and other representatives of the Global South discussed G20 India's achievements, including strengthening of multilateral development banks. It was chaired by Secretary Ajay Seth, Department of Economic Affairs. Indian Prime Minister Modi addressed the Diwali Milan program in New Delhi. Prime Minister urged journalists to educate people on artificial intelligence and deepfake. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh meets Defence Minister of Timor-Leste in Jakarta. Leaders discuss potential areas for future collaboration, including the supply of made-in-India defence equipment, capacity building and training. India's Earth Sciences Minister Kiren Rijiju took stock of the progress of the Greater Mail Connectivity Project in Maldives. The project aims to usher economic development and prosperity in the Greater Mail region. India's Minister of State for External Affairs Meenakshi Lekhi says security plays a pivotal role for an economy to sustain itself. In Madhya Pradesh, polling took place for all 230 seats in a single phase. Madhya Pradesh recorded a 71.16% of polling. Polling concluded for the second and final phase of assembly elections in Indian state of Chhattisgarh today. 68.15% was the voter turnout. Efforts to evacuate 40 trapped construction workers in a tunnel in northern Indian state of Uttarakhand have intensified. Some progress has been made seen as heavy-duty drilling machine penetrated 21 meters of rubble on the Char Dham route. In India's northern state of Jammu and Kashmir, 2 major operations were conducted by Army in last 48 hours. 5 terrorists were gunned down in an encounter in Kulgam. Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra camp was organized by Government of India and Union Territory of Ladakh. The event was started by welcoming the information, education and communication. Viksit Bharat pledge was also taken by the participants on the occasion. University Grants Commission approved a postgraduate curriculum with a 1-year master's program. Students can seamlessly switch disciplines, embrace diverse learning experiences with offline, online and hybrid options and more. India's Union Minister Piyush Goyal said that India-UK closes 20 of 26 chapters of free trade agreement. Goyal expressed confidence that the teams from both sides are addressing matters crucial to each other. Domestic equity benchmark indices ended in red on Friday's session. Bombay Stock Exchange Sensex ended lower by 187 points at 65,795 level. Nifty 50 closed at 19,732 level, down by 33.4 points. December gold contract on the commodity exchange MCX surged an unexpected 1,133 rupees per 10 gram. This spike occurred despite a stable dollar-priced gold market. Silver futures, which are due on December 5th, witnessed a downfall of rupees 110 and were retailing at rupees 73,557 per kilograms on the MCX. Indian rupee declined by 4 paise to close at 83.27 against the US dollar. Russian ruble nears 4-month high against the dollar. The high rate was supported by the exporters' foreign currency purchases and high interest rates. Oil prices edged higher on Friday. Brent futures rose 80 cents to $78.22 a barrel. Eurozone yields hit fresh low on Friday. Money markets increased their bets on European Central Bank rate cuts after a batch of soft US economic data supported the view that the big central bank's fight against inflation could be over. India's unified payments interface reaches 11 billion transactions in a short span of 2 months. Digital payments witnessed a strong expansion in October 2023. Israel claims to have found a Hamas tunnel at Gaza's Al-Shifa hospital, body of a hostage found in an adjacent building. The Israeli army said its troops also found a vehicle in the hospital containing a large number of weapons. The military also made public videos and photographs of the tunnel shaft and weapons. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken spoke with Israeli Cabinet Minister Benny Gantz. Both the leaders discussed efforts to boost and accelerate the transit of critical humanitarian assistance into Gaza. The State Department in a statement said that the two leaders discussed efforts to prevent the conflict widening and to secure the release of hostages. Blinken also stressed the urgent need for affirmative steps to de-escalate tensions in the West Bank. And the U.S. State Secretary also spoke with his Egyptian counterpart, Sameh Shoukry, about efforts to increase humanitarian aid to Gazans in urgent need. US President Joe Biden has signed a stopgap spending bill averting a government shutdown in what has come as a major relief for federal workers. US President Biden approved the bill a day after it was passed by Senate. The Senate vote marked the end of this year's third fiscal standoff in Congress that saw lawmakers bring Washington to the brink of defaulting on its more than $31 trillion in debt. US President Joe Biden hosted a gala dinner for heads of delegations at the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit in San Francisco. Biden said a stable relationship between the US and China was good for the world after holding a high-stakes summit with his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping. The Samsung's executive chairman has been charged of $8 billion accounting fraud and stock price manipulation of $8 billion. Lee has denied the charges. Pedro Sanchez sworn in as Spain's new prime minister. The leader is expected to name his new cabinet during the weekend. The socialist leader Pedro Sanchez will form a minority administration with the far-left Sumar coalition. Argentina gears up for presidential elections. Country's finance minister and presidential candidate Sergio Massa ended his election campaign at a public high school in Buenos Aires. The voting will start from Sunday. Dr. Mohamed Muizzu sworn in as the new president of Maldives on Friday. Dr. Muizzu defeated President Ibrahim Mohamed Soleh in the recent runoff elections held in September. Turkish airstrikes kill 13 Kurdish rebels in Iraq. The Turkey's defense ministry says its military carried out airstrikes in northern Iraq and killed the Kurdish fighters. Turkey has intensified attacks on Kurdish fighters in Syria and Iraq in recent weeks after rebels detonated a bomb near government buildings in Ankara on October 1st. Russia's Natural Resources Minister Alexander Kozlov held a meeting with North Korea's Premier Kim Jong-un. A massive fire broke out in a warehouse in central Mexico City. Authorities evacuated hundreds of people living nearby. It took firefighters hours to extinguish the fire. There were no immediate reports of casualties. Workers at hundreds of Starbucks stores across the US have walked off their jobs during a key promotional event on Thursday, demanding improved staffing and schedules. Earlier, Starbucks said it would raise hourly pay for its US retail workers by at least 3% from 2024, which employees criticized, calling it tone deaf. Well, we'll be right back after a short break.
Welcome to Jaipur.
Welcome to Express 100, and let's continue with the news now. Well, tens of thousands of people were without power in South Florida after high winds and rain swamped homes. More than 86,000 homes and businesses remain without electricity across the southern Florida as the storm crawled the region. Residents of Greek Village are considering relocation after floodwaters gushed through the Greek farming village last month, causing severe damage to their livelihood. The Greek Village's 240 residents, mostly cotton farmers, to move in with relatives or rented nearby towns due to extreme weather driven by climate change. Thousands of students across Australia skipped school on Friday to demand climate action and call for investment to be stopped in the coal and gas projects. A large group of international negotiators and United Nations representatives are meeting in Nairobi, Kenya, to come up with an international treaty to tackle the world's plastic pollution problem. The World Meteorological Organization warns of more extreme weather patterns and further sea level rise at least until 2060. WMO released a report this week that shows the concentration of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere have reached a record high last year, and it worries the trend is set to continue. Deep depression moving over the Bay of Bengal on Friday intensified into a cyclonic storm and will graze past the Sundarbans before making landfall on Bangladesh coast. All fishermen and boats over North Bay have been put on high alert. Meanwhile, air quality index of India's national capital, Delhi NCR, again woke up under hazardous smoke clouds as the air quality remains in severe category. India's private sector, led by the Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Center, are exploring partnership opportunities in the UAE to unlock collaborative potential with global companies. InSpace, in collaboration with the Indian Space Research Organization, is devising a decadal vision and strategy for the Indian space economy. The InSpace digital platform, which was launched in August 2022, streamlines application, submission processing and approval for NGEs in the space sector. A model of the indigenous Akash surface-to-air missile, which has been inducted into the Indian Armed Forces, has been unveiled at the Indian Institute of Technology, Mumbai. In South Korea, robots are being given the status of pedestrians in the same wavelength as humans under a revision to the Intelligence Robots Act introduced in the country. Under the Act, the robot's safety must be verified in 16 categories, including crosswalk passing. With this, the industry has expressed that robots can be used for various purposes, such as deliveries of food. American astronauts company SpaceX has postponed the second test launch of its Starship rocket system to November 18, citing the need for a hardware replacement. The United States government has wrapped up the evidentiary phase of antitrust case against tech giant Google in a historic trial, which it had accused the online search leader of breaking antitrust law to stay on top. US big tech Apple has announced support for rich communication services in iPhones next year that will allow for a smoother messaging experience between iPhones and Android devices. American tech giant Meta has launched 2 new artificial intelligence-based features for video editing that allows users to more easily alter or edit videos with text prompts. The Shillong Cherry Blossom Festival is being organized in the northeastern Indian state of Meghalaya from 7th of November to 19th of November. Indian festival Chhath Puja commences at various locations. Devotees initiate the festival today with ritual Nahai Khai marking the onset of the 4-day festival. Preparations are underway across various locations for organizing the Chhath festival. Special carts are being readied to facilitate the performance of various rituals. French wine lovers welcomed the annual release of Beaujolais Nouveau on Thursday as the first wine of 2023 season went on sale after midnight. Prince William inaugurated a project aimed at curbing youth violence and enhancing opportunities for young people in Manchester on Thursday. Prince William's Royal Foundation partners with Greater Manchester's mayors to designate £100,000 towards projecting concentrating on youth employment skills and training. Jean-Michel Basquiat's artwork Self-Portrait as a Hellpart 2 dominated Sotheby's Contemporary Evening auction in New York, fetching $42 million. The sale surpassed its $19.99 price by more than 54 times. A fundraising exhibition took place in Mexico involving both local and international artists, all contributing their work to support the LGBTQ+ shelter Casa Frida. The 7th Silk Road International Exposition kicked off on Thursday at the historic origin of the Silk Road, Xi'an City. The event's theme revolves around trade expansion, interconnectivity, mutual prosperity. Indonesian Police First Sergeant Renita Rismayanti has been honored with the 2023 United Nations Women Police Officer of the Year award. 27-year-old Rismayanti is the youngest ever UN Women Police Officer of the Year. International star Sting, Jonas Brothers, Halsey, One Republic and other acts are set to perform at the 2nd edition of music festival Lollapalooza, India on January 27 and 28 next year in India's Mumbai. Trailer for Indian drama film Starfish starring Kushali Kumar and Milind Soman was released. The film will hit the theatres on November 24th. Indian singer-rapper Riyaz Saab, known for his hit Punjabi language song Obsessed, has released his debut EP album titled How I Love. Korean pop group 17's youngest member, Dino, has announced his 3rd solo mixtape titled Wait, which will release on November 27th. British-Albanian singer Dua Lipa hosted a 2nd secretive single launch event inviting her American fans to the Houdini estate in Los Angeles in the United States. Stars glammed up for GQ's Men of the Year gala in Los Angeles. Actors, models and musicians walked the red carpet at the gala hosted by reality star Kim Kardashian. Top Latin music artists including Maluma and Bizarrap descended the red carpet for the 24th annual Latin Grammy Awards in Spanish city Seville. Several Latin music legends graced Sevilla's inaugural Latin Grammys red carpet as the Latin Grammy Awards ventured beyond the borders of the US for the first time. Female artists took home Latin Grammy's top awards this year. Colombian singer Karol G won Album of the Year, Shakira was awarded Song of the Year, and Mexico's Natalia Lafourcade took home Best Recording of the Year. The Latin Grammy included heartfelt and pop-packed performances by Spanish diva Rosalia, Colombian superstar Shakira, Puerto Rican star Ozuna and many other rising Latin artists. India is all set to face Australia in the ICC Cricket World Cup Super Finale in Ahmedabad. The 19 November finale to be a repeat of the 2003 clash between the two titans. Australia defeated South Africa by 3 wickets to meet India in the title clash on Sunday. Indian fans are buzzing with excitement ahead of the crucial showdown against Australia in the ICC Cricket World Cup Summit clash. India beat Kuwait in Kuwait at FIFA World Cup 2026 AFC qualifiers. Manveer Singh scored the only goal of the match for Team India. Uruguay ends Argentina's 14-match unbeaten streak with a 2-0 victory at the World Cup qualifiers. Palestine drew 0-0 with Lebanon in a World Cup qualifier played without fans in the United Arab Emirates. World number 1 Novak Djokovic beat ATP Finals alternate Hubert Hurkacz 7-6, 4-6, 6-1 in their green group clash on Thursday and advanced to the semi-finals after Jannik Sinner edged Holger Rune 6-2, 5-7, 6-4. Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk faced off and Fury spews a profanity-laced rant after the fight for the undisputed heavyweight championship is announced. Antoine Dupont will take part in the Paris 2024 Olympics after making a temporary switch from rugby union to rugby sevens. Well, that's all in this edition of Express 100.